Welcome to The Big Story, hosted by Victor. The Big Story brings you interviews with inspiring people who are killing it in various spheres of life. Get ready to learn a lot while laughing and having a good time in a relaxed environment.
I introduce Dr. Mayokun Taiwo.
Hi. Thank you for the compliment. I'm an amazing person, is what I've learned from your introduction.
The real
Hi
doctor.
everyone. Yeah,
real doctor.
Yeah.
Not the fake doctor, the real doctor.
The real doctor. Hi everyone. My name is Dr. Mayokun Taiwo. I am a Nigerian doctor living and working in the UK. I'm what we call a pediatrician, which means that I'm a children's doctor. I'm currently in training, so I'm not a consultant yet, which is basically the boss. But I'm in training to become a pediatrician. I think I think that's just a brief, short introduction of who I am, I guess.
Okay, great. How you doing? How is everything with COVID? It's been real crazy here in Holland. I think we're on our second lockdown now, and I don't know how it is in the UK, but I know it's been. Yeah, I've got family in Manchester, and they tell me it's really. Yeah, it's something else in the UK. So how have you been? Have you been safe? How is everything?
Things have been, have been really crazy. I think that for, I guess, healthcare workers, we've had two levels of dealing with COVID. We've had to deal with it like everybody else, like, oh my goodness, there's this new virus, there's this, there are new ways of life and things like that. But then we also have the added sort of having to deal with the fact that we would come in contact with people that are, infected with COVID and things like that. I think that the environment basically in the UK is different depending on where you are. There are certain places that are considered high risk because there have been very high rises in the number of cases, and so they've gone, back into lockdown and things like that. And then there's some places where things are still sort of okay, but there's still certain restrictions. So you can't in most places. I don't think you can meet with friends indoors. And even when you meet with friends, you can only meet in groups of 6. I think that's the main rule in the UK. So it's really been crazy. It's been tough, and I think that we've just had to try and adapt, like, coping mechanisms, just the same as everybody else has been trying to do. The government has been good. I will say the government has been good in terms of providing us with protective gear when we're treating patients and things like that, and giving us, hospitals in general have been very good at getting out the research to doctors immediately. So whenever there's been a change in, or maybe, if you're seeing this kind of patient, you need to be using this kind of gear, and vice versa. They've been very good at getting out that information. And also, even they were I don't know. I don't know if I can judge whether they were slow or fast, but they also identified that obviously the Black, the Asian, and minority ethnicity groups and communities.
High risk, right?
Sorry?
They're at high risk.
They're high risk, exactly. That they were high risk. So a lot of hospitals, put out sort of questionnaires to that. It's called, I think they call them the BAME community, about like how they can further help them to stay safe and protect them by maybe not necessarily deploying them straight away to COVID wards and things like that. But it's been interesting. It's been good.
Yeah, I feel like it's something that we just have to live with until there is a vaccine, of course.
Yeah,
I
definitely.
don't know if I'm going to take the vaccine.
Well, what I
Oh,
say, do you know what I say actually is that for me, I'm exactly the same. I won't take the vaccine depending on when it comes out. So if it comes
mhm,
out like late next year, I might
mhm.
consider taking the vaccine. But before
Yeah.
that, I would feel that they haven't done due process. They've just rushed it.
Before, before you get a vaccine and you find out you have like an extra arm the next
Oh God.
week.
Yeah, it's something that people really need to like. Yes, COVID, it's horrible, especially the first wave.
Mhm.
But even at that, it's not something that we should just rush to,
Yeah.
to create a vaccine. We need to put it through the rigorous
Yeah.
process that we put, other vaccines and things like that
Mhm.
through.
Okay. Cool. 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 So there's been a lot of talk about the mask. Wear your mask. Mask this. Mask that.
Right.
Even got a mask from a friend.
Ooh.
Like a real nice fancy
Oh,
mask.
that is nice. That is what's that is really cool.
It's
Can
like
you
with the
you should look me
Ghanaian.
up?
Yeah, it's like a friend, uh,
Okay.
Ninka.
Okay.
It's on Instagram. She's called Junie Happy Face. I
Ooh,
can send you her stuff.
yeah. Connect us.
It's like she makes like different masks with different patterns. So this is like obviously the kente,
Kente, yeah.
the Ghanaian.
Exactly.
You also have the Nigerian pattern, and you have the Indian and different cultures. So
That's very cool.
this and yeah, I like it, but the question is, does it actually work? Does it help stop the spread of the virus? Because it looks cool,
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
but does it actually help?
Okay. So again, obviously there are different masks, there are different types of masks. So it
Yeah.
depends on the masks um, that you're talking about. There
Mm.
are certain masks that certain types of doctors wear. I think it's called the F. Oh gosh, you're catching
The
me out now.
N95, right?
Sorry.
N95.
Thank you, those ones. So you even
Yeah.
know better than me. Can you imagine?
Yeah.
See how bad it is. So the N95 masks are used by medical professionals that deal with people with COVID symptoms, and
Mm-hmm.
those ones do prevent you from catching the virus if somebody else has the virus.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
there's a certain mechanism in the mask that
Mm-hmm.
does that. It basically what it does is that it filters the air that you're breathing in. So
Yeah.
even if the COVID virus droplets are in the air, it will be filtered in the mask, so it's not something that you breathe in. The
Mm-hmm.
everyday masks that we wear um, don't protect you from getting the virus. They mainly protect you if you have the virus from spreading it onto other people.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So it contains the drop you spreading the droplet into the atmosphere. It keeps it enclosed in your sort of circumference of the air that you're breathing and things like that.
Yeah.
So that's why you wearing the mask is not actually for your protection. It's a selfless act because you're trying to protect other people against
Yeah.
if you have the disease. And that's why
Mm-hmm.
governments and we encourage people in general that please wear a mask, because if
Yeah.
everybody does it, then you'll be protected as well. you
Yeah.
know but unfortunately most people, or some people decide not to
Yeah.
wear a mask, and
Mm-hmm.
it they're not protecting themselves and they're not protecting others as well. So
Yeah.
it's a very selfish act, I think, to not wear a mask because you're putting other people at risk in case you have the virus. So yeah, so it depends on which mask you're talking about. The normal
Yeah.
masks, so the mask that you showed me just now, the mask that I have some mask at home, but it's a bit too far away. Just the normal, the ones that are
Yeah. I think I this normal white one, right?
exactly. Yeah, those normal,
This
yeah,
one
those
is yeah.
exactly those normal masks
Yeah.
basically protect other people. But if you have the I've already forgotten what it's called. N90.
N95.
N95. N95 mask. I'm so sorry. Listen, like I have to keep so much information in my head.
Yeah,
The actual
yeah.
name of the mask
That's
is.
the only thing I know. N95.
For me, it's like not important at all. So that's why I
Yeah.
keep forgetting. But the N95 mask itself will, will protect you from the virus.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's really good. So, well, to wrap this up, I really thank you for all the work that you do as a doctor. I mean, you frontline workers. So yeah, we really thank you for the work you're doing and for trying to keep a curb on the virus. We are all in this together.
Yeah.
Hopefully hopefully before the end of the year, we see massive uh, decline in the virus and
Amen.
spreading by God's
I
grace.
think I think I think people shouldn't be um too frightened because I feel definitely the worst is behind us. The first wave
Mm-hmm.
was really bad.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Lots of infections, lots of deaths. The virus was very new. We were still learning lots about the virus. This
Yeah.
second wave now, we're seeing a lot of infections, but we're not seeing lots of deaths because
Yeah. Yeah.
we know a lot more about the virus now. We know how to treat,
Mm-hmm.
symptoms quickly
Yeah.
and things like that. So I'm hoping prayerfully that um, we'll get through the second wave quickly.
Yeah.
But this second wave is definitely not going to be as bad as the
The
first.
first one.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. Well, we can only hope for the best.
yeah.
So, have you always wanted to become a doctor? Like, did you have other dreams as a child, or since you were little, you always knew you wanted to become a doctor?
Yeah, I think I think that since I was little, I've obviously had lots and lots of dreams, but I think that
Mm-hmm.
they all really rotated around people. Like I
Mm-hmm.
always wanted to do something that I would, be able to interact with people. And I think growing up, my parents were very very social people. They always had people, they always had people around them, always had like a large circle of family and friends. And they basically set out an example for myself and my siblings
Mm-hmm.
of making sure that whenever you're able to, that you help, those around you. So I
Yeah.
think that whenever I, as a young person, whenever I was thinking about what I was going to do in the future, it would always, it would always sort of rotate around the idea of it has to do with people, and it has to do with, you know, a profession that is into helping people specifically.
Yeah.
So growing up, I wanted to be three things. I wanted to be a teacher, I wanted to be a lawyer, and I wanted to be a doctor as well. And
Yeah.
like actually, growing up, I remember specifically, I actually used to like write out like lesson plans for my students. My
Every Nigerian parent's dream.
are you serious?
Doctor, lawyer. The only thing that's missing is engineer. But
Engineer, no. I
yeah,
don't think, yeah, I don't think I ever wanted to be an engineer, but I wanted to be a teacher. So I would make
yeah,
like imaginary lesson plans for students, and
yeah.
I literally, like, I was actually writing like exercise books, like, oh, that I'm going to publish this later in the future.
Giving people homework.
I think then as I grew a bit older, I knew that I wanted to do, I wanted to become a doctor and a lawyer. It was always and, it wasn't or, and it was basically which one was I going to do first. So I was going to do
Mhm.
one first, and then go on and do and
Uh-huh.
do the, and do the other. Um, and yeah, I don't know, like I just kept having a pull towards medicine, towards the wonder of, like, because it's just amazing, the human body.
Mm-hmm.
And also, like, I think most doctors might also have this experience in their life as well. I had to have an operation when I was quite young, and I vividly remember how kind the doctor was, how um, like how safe I felt even in unfamiliar surroundings and things like that. And I really, really wanted to emulate, that doctor and give that back to society as well. So
Yeah.
then I finally made the decision that I would study medicine
Okay.
first, and then, at some point down the line, I'll study law.
So maybe in a few years I can call you Barrister Mayokun.
Yeah, we'll see. I think, yeah, we'll see where life takes me. I think
Okay.
now that I've become an adult, and I see what adulting is like, and
Mm-hmm.
how easy it is.
Easy. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. How
Better
easy
add.
it is.
Yeah.
I think probably what will end up happening is that I'll do it once I have kids or something.
Yeah.
So I'll go to school when my kids are in school. So I'll be
Okay.
like my kids
Yeah.
paddy in school.
Yeah. Okay. Nice. And what was the process of becoming a doctor? Because whenever I think of a doctor or whenever I go to the hospital, I always see a old guy there or like a old lady with, and but you are quite young. So how was the process of becoming a doctor? Was it a difficult one? What were the major things you had to study? Because
Mhm.
I think you have to do a lot of chemistry and biology, right?
Yeah. So yeah, definitely. So you obviously do your A levels, or your leaving school certification, basically.
Mm-hmm.
I did what we call the International Baccalaureate, or the IB, because I
Mm-hmm.
went to an international high school. And
Okay.
then you get into med school. Depending on where you go to med school, your course can be anywhere between 4 to 6 years.
Okay.
4 years is usually if you're doing medicine as a postgraduate degree. Um, I was doing it as an undergraduate degree, so my course was 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
I studied at the University College Cork in the Republic of Ireland.
Okay.
um, and yeah, I think that it was definitely hard. It was bittersweet in the sense that it was hard, but it was easy. So it was hard in the sense that it is hard work. It's long hours. It
Mm-hmm.
is extremely and utterly, different from what everybody else is doing. So a
Yeah.
lot of, like, for example, a lot of my high school friends, by the
Mm-hmm.
time I had graduated and I was a doctor, they had done an undergraduate and a master's. You
Oh,
know,
yeah.
within three. So in my third year of medicine, all of my colleagues back in high school were already graduating from their undergraduate degree, because that takes
Yeah.
generally around 3 years.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, but I think that that's where you need to know that you're actually called to study medicine. So that's
Yeah.
where, whenever I'm advising people, like, if they want to study medicine, I always say that I do not discourage you from studying medicine at all, but you need to know that this is something that you're doing for you, and not something
Mm-hmm.
that somebody else has pushed you into. Because if it's something that you're doing for you, then you know the reasons that you're
Yeah.
studying this course. So no matter how hard it gets, you know that you're in that for you. But when you're doing it, just to please somebody else, it becomes a lot harder.
Yeah.
Medicine is extremely fascinating. It's amazing, and especially as a Christian, actually, it just shows you how great God is. Um, just the intricacies of the human body, all the things that need to be in place, and
Mm-hmm.
literally one thing out of place, and you have a disease, or one thing out of place and you have a cancer. It's
Yeah.
just absolutely amazing. So for me, 5 years of medicine, the first three the first 2 years are you have to study sort of basic sciences of
Mm-hmm.
medicine. You
Yeah.
study what we call anatomy, physiology, biochemistry. Anatomy is the human body itself.
Yeah.
Physiology is processes and mechanisms, how things work in the body. And biochemistry is about sort of the chemical, the chemical processes that go on in the body as well.
Yeah.
Then you also study things like I'm going into like technical terms now. You study things like pharmacology, which is the study of medicines and how they act on the body and things like that. In the third year, it's a mix of learning sciences, and then you start to apply those sciences in the clinical setting.
Yeah.
So in third year, you start, going on placements.
Yeah.
To different specialties. You start learning how to put what you've learned in terms of sciences and actually see how it plays out in the life of a patient. So if the patient is coming in with this such and such disease, what will they be telling you as their symptoms, and what would you be looking for when you examine them and things like that. And then in the fourth and fifth year, it's purely clinical. So you're just in the hospitals, you're seeing patients, you're putting your knowledge into practice and things like that. And then you start learning about the different specialties. So you start trying to get a feel of what area of medicine, you might want to specialize in. Do you want to specialize in medicine, like actual medicine, which is that you treat people with medication? Or do you want to then specialize in surgery, which is that you treat people, by operating on them? Because that's actually like, a different route altogether.
Yeah.
And then after you graduate, you do what it's called different things in different places, but you do what we call an internship.
Yeah.
Which again, depending on where you do it, is either 1 or 2 years. And it's basically, the first 1 or 2 years after you graduate from med school, you work as a junior doctor under a lot of supervision, and you are put in various opportunities to be able to develop basically general skills that you need as a doctor. But it's basically under a lot of supervision, because you're fresh off the boats, as we're called. Basically fresh off the boat. So that's those are the years to learn your mistakes. Those are the years to ask lots and lots of questions. And those are the years that you're covered. You're covered under the guidance of your senior doctors. And then after the first couple of years, they would expect that in your sort of final years of med school, and in the first 2 years that you do your foundation program or your internship, you've gotten so much experience from the different specialties that you might have an idea of what you might want to specialize in. So then after your foundation years, then you basically apply to whatever specialty, you apply for training in whatever specialty you want to specialize in. And that training is in hospital training. So you basically start to work within that specialty and you learn on the job. And then there are obviously different master's programs that you can do to supplement your learning. There are various exams that you would have to take. There are various courses that you have to take to supplement your learning. But yeah, basically you just continue working in whatever specialty that you choose to work in, and you train until you become what we call a consultant, which is the head of of that department in that specialty. I don't know if that sort of answered the question.
That's a real nice, concise explanation.
Was it concise? I thought I was talking for ages.
But it's clear. I mean, you give everything quite clear. So
okay. That's good. That's good.
So, I mean, becoming a doctor kind of like went through my memory, or when I was little, I thought about it for like a second.
Okay.
And it left as quick as it came.
Oh, wow.
Because I had a cut on my arm. There's still a mark there.
Okay.
And I was like, I thought I was going to die with that. So,
oh, gosh.
For me, I knew it wasn't for me. But what are the skills needed to become a doctor apart from not being afraid of blood?
Right. Okay, do you know, I think that's a myth. I don't think that's a myth because there's still, just because, you know, like you realize that just because I'm a doctor doesn't mean that I can actually, I can stomach everything about like what it takes to be a doctor. There's some there's some doctors that look down on other doctors, right? There's some doctors, for example, who cannot stand the eye and cannot imagine how somebody can specialize in ophthalmology, which is medicine of the eye. So it's not like doctor has to be somebody that isn't scared of blood or isn't scared of poo. There are just some times that you're like, as we're all human, so we're all going to react. There's just some times where your body is just like, no, this is too much for me at this moment in time, you know. So yeah, I definitely wouldn't put not being scared of blood as a as a requirement of being a doctor. I do think that doctors have I guess they're just a bit stronger. So we go into it not really being that scared of blood. But I do know some people who were scared of blood, and just because they're exposed to it on a regular basis, they get over it. So it's not like it's not a particular requirement. I think that I think a major requirement is you need to truly care for people. You need to truly be empathetic and compassionate. You need to be patient, because a lot of the times, people come to you when they're at their lowest. So you need to show them compassion and let them express to you, what symptoms they have and things like that. And you need to be, because yes, I mean, thankfully we're still I think we're still not as paid as highly as we should be, but thankfully we are paid quite well. But compared to some of the hours that we have to work, one can argue that we're not paid enough, and some of the hours are really really not, they're not sociable at all. So it's a job that you need to that you get your satisfaction. You need to really get your satisfaction in what you do. So if you're getting into medicine for the money, that is really the wrong, the absolute, worst reason for you to do that. So it needs to be something that you really enjoy. You enjoy people. You enjoy alleviating people's pain and suffering. And that you get your satisfaction from that. I think that would probably be the most, one of the most, the highest, I think, requirement for going into medicine. For me, in particular, in terms of pediatrics, I guess then various specialties of medicine then will depend on sort of your character, your personality type and things like that. There are some people who they do care about people, but they're not as patient. They are they're not as patient. They can't really deal with, because there are some adults who are truly, truly ill and truly need help. But then there's some people that will get on your last nerve and are just like crybabies, basically, and they just can't deal with that. So those sorts of people might become what we call anesthetists. So they're the ones that put people to sleep. So they're like, yeah, I know that you're in pain. I know that you need help, but just go to sleep. I don't want to talk to you. I don't want to talk to you. For me, for example, I love, oh my goodness, I love to laugh. I love laughter. I love colors. I love being goofy. I love being playful. And the absolute best, what's it called? The absolute best place to be, with all of that I can just be myself. Basically, is on children's ward, and children they're just so dear to my heart. They're just so cute, so adorable. They're just so precious, and it's just like you hear the weirdest things. For example, yesterday, One of a senior doctor came on the ward, and he's like, "Oh, has this patient pooed yet?" And like literally.
And the guy was
the
there.
only place that's the only place that you hear that kind of question, and it's so important for us, for our children to poo, you know.
Yeah.
But like but yeah, so I think the major thing is compassion, empathy,
Yeah.
a love for people,
Yeah.
um and a love for science as well.
Yeah. Yeah. Is it possible to be too caring, or like as a doctor you care for your patients so much that it actually hinders you at your job, or it's not yeah, is there anything like that?
Yeah, definitely. I think that um, that is what leads to burnout. So you
Mm.
do have to be caring, but um, you have to have healthy boundaries
Yeah.
as well, and that's why a lot of the times on in particular specialties, you have a lot of mental health support. You have sort of psychologists and counselors that you can speak to,
Mm-hmm.
um, because those specialties, things like oncology, like working with people that have cancer, or we have an area of medicine called palliative care, which
Mm-hmm.
is people that have fatal diseases that they're going to die of, and the that area of medicine basically deals with making sure that they're comfortable,
Mm.
before, making sure that they're comfortable, and they're all the symptoms that they're experiencing before their death is managed properly. So those kind of areas, it deals with a lot of it can deal with a lot of death, and you do, to a certain degree, have to be quite invested, in your patient. But
Yeah.
that's why, they also offer a lot of support.
Yeah.
You're encouraged that these are the signs of you're getting too close, you're depleting your own emotional resources.
Yeah.
Get help.
Yeah.
So yeah, it is definitely possible to be, too invested,
To
too
be invested in.
emotionally invested. I don't think it's possible to be too compassionate, but I do think that you can be too emotionally invested. And sometimes I think that it ties in with why we're not allowed to treat friends and relatives, um, because when you're too emotionally invested in something, it makes it harder to make rational decisions.
Yeah. It
And
clouds your judgments.
exactly, it definitely clouds your judgment. So yeah, I think that's
Yeah.
definitely true and possible.
At, at the moment, I'm reading a book by Stephen Fry. It's
Okay,
called Mythos, and it's about Greek mythology.
okay.
And I came across a section of the book. It talked about Asclepius, who was the father of modern medicine.
Hmm.
And you know the staff with the snake around
Yeah.
the staff? That was his sign,
Okay.
basically.
Okay.
And his children are the ones that created the areas of medicine that you're talking about. So about like palliative care, and about like the spa, like so like relaxation, and
Mm-hmm.
about people who come back from war. So like, yeah, combat care, something like that.
Okay.
So yeah, it's pretty nice when I read that, and I also hear from you too. So it's and all in this space of a week.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. That's pretty
Yeah,
cool.
definitely. I think that the world is really small. Like it is. I completely agree with you. It's very nice when you like
Mhm.
when something affirms, like
Yeah,
what it is that you're experiencing, or what it
yeah,
is that you're reading. Yeah,
yeah,
that's a cool feeling.
yeah. Uh, is there any um, is there any thing that you see different now by being a doctor? So like before you were a doctor, you always looked at it in a certain way, but now that you're a doctor, you're like it completely changes your opinion about that certain thing.
Um, hmm, that is a really good question. Um,
Of course, it is.
um, yeah. Okay. Yeah. Let me say that. Um, I think that it probably has to do with my upbringing as well, probably. So I think in sort of the African Nigerian culture,
Mm-hmm.
hard work is very, overemphasized. Is really really um, you know beaten into you, basically. You
Yeah.
shouldn't be lazy. You should always be almost always be doing something.
Yeah.
um so I think that um going into medicine, that's a good mentality to have, but it's
Mm-hmm.
also so equally important to have a mentality of rest as well,
Yeah.
and to be able to listen to your body and respond to what your body needs. So I
Mm.
think that a lot of going into medicine, I would work long shifts. I would work night shifts, and then I'd have like a couple of days off, and after like a day or two I would still feel exhausted, and I'm just like, what's wrong with my body? Like, my body should be
Yeah.
should be rested by now. Like,
Yeah.
I need to
You
get
need
up.
to go again.
Yeah, exactly. I need to go again. I need to go on and do
Yeah.
and do the next thing. And I think that being a doctor has taught me, like, a lot of the times I catch myself telling my patient something and my mind goes, you do realize that this applies to you as well, right? Right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like, my patients can come in and be like, well, I'm stressed, and I'm this, and they tell me about their schedule, and I'm like, well, of course you're stressed, you're doing this and this and this and this and this. And then like, when I've sat down to think about it, I'm like, yeah, it's the same thing with you. You also need to rest. It's not every day go go
Yeah.
go go go.
Yeah.
So I think that that's probably something that that have I've had a perspective change in with being a practicing doctor, that hard work is extremely important. It'll get you to where you want to be, but rest is as equally important.
Yeah. Yeah. Nice.
Everything is about
Cool.
money
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
working hard.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, yeah, but I think
Yeah.
I'll keep on thinking about it. I think that's a really, really good question. Actually, I'm sure I can
Yeah.
come up with other answers to that.
Yeah. So on Monday, you gave a really beautiful talk about mentorship, and I was on it was a PSF call,
Okay.
and
Yeah. Yeah.
you were the speaker, and you spoke really wonderful about it. So it got me thinking, did you have a mentor when do you have a mentor right now? And did you have a mentor when you were coming up as a doctor?
Yeah, definitely, definitely, 100%, 100%. I think that I even wish that I had that what I really, really wish is that we give this talk to our young, like, our young children, our young teenagers,
Mhm.
because what I really wish is that I knew about the benefits of mentorship, like, a lot early on. So I think that I
Yeah.
had a lot of informal mentors when I was growing up. Because, like I said, you can have informal mentors in the sense of, basically anybody that you go to regularly for advice is a
Yeah.
mentor.
Because I kind of feel sometimes like our parents, they take up that role informally,
Exactly.
just like telling us what to do and everything. But
Exactly.
I think we also need people who are not our parents,
Yeah.
who don't really have that real connection with us,
Hmm.
or like that paternal maternal connection with us, and can and see us from a different angle.
Yeah.
So
Definitely. Like that was some of the things I said in the mentorship talk as well, that you shouldn't just have one mentor. You need multiple mentors,
yeah.
because then you can get input from different perspectives. Um, so yeah, so I don't the answer to that question is I definitely had mentors
Mm-hmm.
in med school. Um, and I do have I have mentors now as well. I don't think that I had them early enough, unfortunately. But yeah, yeah. For example, one of the duties of a mentor, of a good mentor, is to look out for opportunities for you. And the way that I got my job as a foundation doctor in Malta was actually through my mentor, because I was
Malta.
struggling to, yeah.
Wait. You have to. It's like we skipped over that because
Yeah.
I know Nigeria, Austria, that's where you came,
Yeah.
and UK, that's where you are right now.
Yes.
Malta is like,
so
it's like,
technically, so
whoa,
it's Nigeria. So you've also skipped a very important part. So
yeah.
Nigeria, first it's Nigeria, Swaziland.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And it's in South Africa, right? It's like
That's in Southern Africa. Yeah.
South
Yeah.
Africa. Okay.
So Nigeria, Swaziland, Austria, Ireland, Malta,
Malta,
UK.
UK. Oh.
Yeah.
Globetrotter, yeah.
Yeah, totally, man. Come on.
Okay.
So how I got my job um, in Malta as a foundation doctor was through my mentor. I was struggling then to get my foundation doctor job, and he knew somebody who had worked in Malta. So he told me, I'll speak to this person. I spoke to them, and it seemed like a very good opportunity. So I applied, and then one thing led to another. So it's really, 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 really important to
Yeah.
to have mentors.
Okay. Good. That's really nice. Have you somehow, of course, you have the good and the bad, of course, definitely. What's the most difficult part of being a doctor? Because we need to talk about things like this. We need to talk about it's good. The white coat looks cool, of course.
Most of the time, you don't wear the white coat, to be perfectly honest.
No?
You wear well, nowadays it's scrubs. Oh my
Scrubs.
goodness, it's scrubs.
Oh
Like,
yeah, like the blue
yeah.
yeah, the blue.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
depending on where you are, it may not be blue, so it may not be as pretty as that. So
My
yeah.
idea of Scrubs is from the American TV series
Which one?
Scrubs. It's like,
Oh, Scrubs.
yeah,
Yeah,
that was
yeah,
like a few years ago, right? It
yeah, definitely.
was
Oh,
so
that
cool.
was a
I
really
really
good show. I
enjoyed it.
really liked it.
Yeah.
Definitely not accurate, but yeah, it's pretty good.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, so what are some of the bad things? What are some of the bad things about being a doctor? Okay, so in terms of personal life, it is especially early on, when you're still a junior doctor. You don't really call the shots in terms of your schedule and things like that. It can be quite tasking. It's you're literally, yeah, in a world of your own, basically. It can be a bit frustrating, because sometimes you're not able to meet with people outside of your profession. A lot of the people that are just either doctors or nurses, because you're always, either you're always at work, or the times where you're not at work, everybody else is doing something else. Like if I work during the weekend, then I'm off for a couple of days during the week. Everybody else is at their job, so they
Yeah.
can't they can't meet with you. And
So
then
like you're always busy.
yeah, you're generally always busy, and um, it's hard to make commitments, especially when it comes to like things like birthdays, anniversaries, holidays. Um, like usually every year, I usually have to tell my family, you need to pick one. Do you want me home for Christmas, or do you want me home for do you want me home for
Yeah.
New Year's?
Yeah.
And there's actually a famous book. Um, actually a famous book that a doctor, unfortunately he's retired now, but or is it not really retired, he quit, I think is the word, being a doctor. He's a comedian.
Gifted hands?
Huh?
Gifted hands?
No, it's it should be on my bookshelf somewhere. Oh, it's called This Is Going to Hurt.
Oh, okay.
It's yeah, you should check it out. It's absolutely hilarious. It's
Okay.
called and the book is called This Is Going to Hurt by Adam Kay.
Okay.
He's a British doctor. He's now a comedian and an advocate
Oh
for.
yeah, you told me about him.
Yeah, right. And
Yeah,
an
you told me about him.
advocate for the NHS.
Yeah.
How unbelievable is it that for 7 years in a row he was scheduled to work on Christmas Day or during the Christmas season,
Yeah.
and like it sounds like um, it's unbelievable, right? But that was his reality for 7 years of the book that he wrote. You know, he was scheduled to work on Christmas Day, and it's at some point you're like because it's the same excuse, I had to work, right? But at some
Yeah.
point it's like, how do you keep explaining that to your
At
family?
some point, people just don't believe you
They
anymore.
really don't. They actually
They're
they
like
really don't, you
like this
know.
guy doesn't want to meet up with me.
This guy, this just doesn't rate me at all. And
Yeah.
for me, thankfully, like I haven't had that. But
Mhm.
for me, my thing is I generally, whenever I'm chatting with somebody, I usually have to start with an apology, like, "Oh, I'm so sorry, I know you've written me ages ago and I'm just replying,"
Yes.
just because like I have to.
Personal experience from you, because I've been with I've been writing you,
You putting me on blast. How are you
and
putting me on
I'm putting
blast?
you on blast in front of
Oh
everyone.
my god. Apostle will hear of
And,
this.
but yeah, but it's but it's yeah, but it's cool because you were working night shift, and I can imagine how busy it was, because when
Yeah,
I'm sleeping, I'm awake, and when you're awake, I'm asleep.
exactly.
So it's
And then you also have
crazy.
to think that, like, as much as I love you and I care about you, I have to, like, I'll go mad. I need time for myself as well.
Yeah,
So I have to prioritize, okay, um this time I have to be at work. This time I need to rest. This
yeah,
time I need to do things like recreational activities as well. I need to, I need to relax and things like that.
yeah,
Then this time I need to fulfill my church commitments.
yeah,
Then, there are certain academic commitments that you still need to do for work. I need to fulfill
yeah,
my academic commitment. So you really just need to prioritize and basically have understanding family and
mm-hmm.
understanding friends. So that's in terms of personal. There's a lot of personal sacrifices involved with being a doctor.
Okay,
Then you see a lot of heartbreaking, extremely heartbreaking things.
yeah,
The most obvious one, obviously, being death.
mm.
I still remember, for example, the medical process of declaring that somebody is dead. So there's certain things there's certain steps that you need to follow. You need to they need to fulfill at least five. There's a lot of criteria that they can fulfill, but they need to fulfill at least like five criteria. You need to call, give them a stimulus that they need to respond to. So you call their name, most people will respond to like a painful stimulus, for example. So if you do something painful to them, they will react.
Like, yeah,
So you try and call their name, you give them a painful stimulus, and you see that they don't react. Then you have to listen to their heart and make sure that it's not beating. At the same time, listen and feel for their pulse, and make sure that you can feel the pulse. Then you look into their eyes, and the when you shine light into their eyes, you see that there's no response in their eyes. And yeah, so death is an
yeah,
incredibly hard thing to deal with as a doctor. I, for example, still remember um I still remember the first person that I had to declare um that I had to declare dead, basically. Um, it's yeah, there are certain patients that you just will never forget. There's some certain patients that you never forget, such as people that you've been involved in their care, but unfortunately they ended up dying.
yeah, yeah,
People that you made a mistake with their care. Again, we're humans, we do make mistakes. And those mistakes, especially those that really cause a lot of harm, and a lot of maybe long-term harm, will definitely haunt you. Um, you we unfortunately also see the evil and the wickedness of humans in general, especially in pediatrics, or on the other end as well. Well, we see it throughout the spectrum of life, but we see it a lot in pediatrics with child abuse. You also see it in elderly care with elder abuse as
Yeah.
well, and you just see the spectrum of sort of atrocities that people can inflict on others in different forms. Could be
Yeah.
physical, sexual, emotional,
Mentally.
verbal.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you have to deal with that as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, those are some of the hard
Yeah.
bits um, of pediatrics or of medicine in general, um, but and they can be um, they really can be quite demoralizing. They can be quite ooh, just gut wrenching, heartbreaking.
Yeah.
Um, but again, that's where the importance of having a support system comes in. That's where the
Yeah.
importance of talking about how you feel, of debriefing. So normally we have, debriefing sessions after
Mm-hmm.
major events so that people can get it out how they're feeling, get it out into the open, make sure that nobody, is feeling guilt for anything that they shouldn't be feeling guilt for, and things like that. And
Mm-hmm.
even though the the hard parts about medicine can be really quite hard, and sometimes you can't seem to catch a break. They just seem to happen one after the other, to the other, to the other. The good part of medicine, when somebody is successfully treated, you know successfully treated, when you actually find what it is the illness is, because sometimes that is the challenge in itself. Actually figuring out what the right diagnosis is, that is the challenge in itself, figuring that out, treating them successfully, seeing them being restored back to their normal selves, seeing the joy that they're experiencing, seeing how you're restoring them back into the community, back into their life in general.
The joy that
um,
it brings the family and
the joy that it exactly the joy that it
yeah.
brings the family, that is fuel. It actually is
Mm.
fuel to last you through all those bad times.
Mm.
And when you find that isn't bringing you as much joy as it used to, you know that's one of the signals that, okay, I need to take a break.
Mm.
That I'm being my sources are being depleted, and I need to work on me
Recharge.
first, exactly,
Yeah.
recharge, and then come back.
Okay. Wow.
But
Amazing.
yeah, like for example, for me, like in pediatrics, like going from um like a young child coming into the hospital, being scared of new surroundings, being apprehensive, doesn't want you to touch them, crying, hugging their parent and things like that, to 20 minutes after, like 20 minutes into me talking to their parents, me trying to play with them and things like that, and you're like, they're like, yeah, paddy, you're best friends with
Yeah.
them, they are, you're hugging,
You're,
like they're
you're
they're
5 and 6.
listen, that they're putting up their hands like for you to carry them. You're
Yeah.
running up and down the corridors with them. Like, I don't know how anybody can, like, how it just brings the widest smile, and
Yeah.
it can light up any, like, you can be feeling so horrible, but something like that happens, and you're just like, yeah, this is why I do this.
Yeah. So from what I take, you have really high highs and really low lows.
Hmm.
So you really need God in this. You really need to be close with God,
Definitely.
in order to hold your hand through the process.
Oh yeah, definitely,
Yeah.
definitely.
So I think it's one of the you're a doctor, but I think being a doctor and also nursing is one of the two professions that really needs that people need to know more about, and because they are literally the I'll say pillars of the society in some respects, and people are like, we need to know more about where they are coming from and how they impact our lives, you know.
I say that 110%. The reason I'll say that is, apart from what you've already highlighted, knowing more about doctors and nurses will help you treat us as well with compassion, because you also need to remember that we are human beings. And a lot of patients, for example, I don't wish it on anybody that you come to the hospital with a problem and you have to wait 4 hours to be seen by a doctor, 4 hours to be seen by a nurse, or even longer. Those waiting times are not things that that we wish on anybody. We know that you're in pain, and we want to help you with that pain as much as possible. At the same time, you have to recognize that a lot of the time that we're understaffed, and it takes time to to deal with all the things that we're seeing. So we have to we see a patient, we also have to figure out what's wrong with the patient. Then we have to start implementing the treatment for that patient. Sometimes it could be between 2 or 3 diagnoses, and you need to do investigations for the patient in order to narrow it down. That takes time as well. And all of this we're doing, most usually in our busy period, we're doing all of this without we haven't had a break. We haven't had a break all day. You don't know what part of our shift we're in. We could be working a 12-hour shift, and for the last 7 hours, I haven't had anything to drink. I haven't stopped. I haven't had a break. I haven't eaten anything. I haven't gone to the bathroom. So when you really understand, okay, the work that doctors and nurses do, yes, you're in pain, yes, you need help, but you also understand that as most of the time we're also doing the best that we can, and you will extend that compassion to us, instead of getting angry and then just making everybody's day a whole lot worse, more worse than it needs to be.
Yeah. What motivates you?
What motivates me to be a doctor, or in life in general?
Whew. Now you're asking me a question. I meant to be asking you questions.
Well,
I'll say both.
Okay.
I was thinking more about in being a doctor, but
Okay.
I think both is also good to know.
Yeah. I think that, so for me, my major motivating Bible passage, I would say, and sort of life um, motto, or what drives me in life, is do unto others as you want them to do unto you. I honestly feel like if everybody just abided by that, you would, like a lot of people, we would just all pause and and take into consideration, if this was my mom, my sister, my dad, my brother, my child, is this how I would want somebody else to treat them? And that would really, really change the way that we act, change the way that we think. It would really, really, like, eliminate so many of the problems that we have in life. So yeah, I think for me, that's my major sort of um, motivating what guides me, really. As much as possible, I try to just pause and be like, if somebody was doing, and that's why for me it's not hard for me to go over and above, because I'm just like, why, like, this is something that I would do for myself. This is something that I would do for a friend, or a relative, and so I should be able to offer that to a stranger as well. I think, yeah. And I also feel like, when you pay it forward, um, it motivates somebody else to do the same. It sows that seed in somebody else, that, oh wow, if somebody can do this, then
So
then I can do it as well.
it's
Um,
it's it's more like a chain reaction. So
Exactly. Yeah.
your goodness is replicated by the other person, and that person
Exactly.
replicates it to someone else.
Someone else. Yeah, definitely, definitely. In terms of being a doctor, I think that like I think I've spoken about it like earlier on in our talk. It's basically about helping people. It's about joy, because kids are just, I don't know. It's for me, it's just a wonder. It's something that it's a bit hard to explain. Their innocence, their sort of amazement of, of life in general. um holding newborn babies, just the amazement of life, the fact that that a whole human being was formed, in 9 months, and now it's here, and you're
Yeah,
holding them. And then you see them grow, and it's you see like how their body changes, because for children are not actually smaller versions of adults. They are different. Their bodies work entirely different to how adults work. Everything about them is different. Even the medication that we give children, we give we give them different medications. And in some of the medications that we use, the same medication in adults, we give them so like completely different doses. So everything is just different about children. And it's the fascination about how their body works. It's a fascination about how their mind works. A child can be crying like 1 minute and is laughing with you the next, or
yeah,
is like, no, this is mine, this is mine, this is mine, 1 minute, and the next minute is like sharing everything that they have
yeah,
with you. So I think it's just the awesomeness and of children for me, that and the joy the joy that brings,
yeah,
um, is a very, very huge motivation for me in terms of being a doctor and being a pediatrician more specifically.
yeah. Nice. Wow. You've answered more, so good, even more than I could have imagined.
Oh, that's brilliant.
I have, although, one more question for you.
Okay, go ahead.
What does the future hold for you, personally and also professionally?
Okay.
And okay, well, I'm going to answer this first.
Okay,
Answer this first, and I ask another one last question.
you said this is the last question.
Okay, no, this one and another one.
Okay, that's fine. No worries. Okay, so I have a lot of passions. I have lots of passions, lots of things that I'm interested in. I I think it's all about figuring out, um, how to accomplish, I guess, all the goals that I have. So I'm very passionate in terms of, let's maybe we start with the heavier one first, and then we go on to the lighter one. I'm very passionate with things like child trafficking, um, child trafficking, child exploitation, sexual exploitation, and things like that. So that for me is one of the main reasons, again, that I'm interested in law. I just find it extremely, extremely unfair that people would take advantage of somebody that doesn't, that can't fully take care of themselves yet. So I'm not sure yet. If I'm going to be honest, I'm not sure yet how that plays out. I don't generally actually enjoy being in the spotlight. I see myself more as I feel like I have a calling more as a builder. So I feel like I'm here to be, in the background, and to make sure that all the resources for those who actually have the calling to, be in the forefront of the fight and things like that are there. So I'm still trying to figure out how that looks, practically.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's one thing that I'm extremely passionate about.
Okay.
Um, then on a more lighter note, I love, oh goodness, I absolutely love, there's two things I really, really love. I love fashion. I love
Yeah.
fashion. I just love colorful outfits and, matching things and patterns and things like that. And I love food. Oh goodness, I love, I love good food. And that's one of the reasons why I really, really love traveling, because I love experiencing people's cultures and
Yeah.
people's different cuisines around the world and
Yeah.
things like that. So I do know that definitely in the future, I am definitely going to own something related to fashion and clothing, like a business related
Yeah.
to that, and I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking
Mm-hmm.
forward to that. Professionally, I know that I'm definitely, I definitely called to be a doctor, definitely enjoyed, but I do know that that is probably not what I'm going to do for the rest of my life, or not the only thing I'm going to do for the rest of my life. So once I become a consultant, I have a bit more, I have a bit more time. I have a bit more sort of control over my time, and I can diversify a bit more. I definitely know that it's basically being a doctor would be probably something that I'm doing part time and then doing other things on the side as well. Personally, looking forward to meeting a lovely young man, settling down. um, definitely looking forward to having kids as well, both biological and adopted. It's something that's very close to my heart. I'm somebody that I think I'm like 51% extrovert and 49% introvert.
Yeah.
So that the
So you
51%,
fluctuate.
I fluctuate. Like basically what I do is that I like 100%. I so much love having people around me,
I think
and
that's
when I have
called an
people around me,
ambivert, right?
I like give everything out, and then I have to
Yeah.
I have to go back into my shell
Yeah.
and recuperate.
Yeah.
So definitely want to have like a huge house and just have kids running haywire
Mm-hmm.
in the
Yeah.
house.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's what I see for my future.
I really hope that God helps you to fulfill all your dreams and make them
Amen.
perfect in His own way. In Jesus' name.
Amen. Amen.
Um, if you, I think we'll wrap up the uh, interview, the beautiful interview. One last word from you. If you could say something to young people coming up, trying to be doctors, or they're like, how do I do this? It seems so difficult. It seems so time consuming. I need my social life. I need this. What can you say to help them on that path to becoming future Dr. Mayokun Taiwo?
Well, the first thing I'll say is don't become a future Dr. Michael Taiwo, become a future doctor and then insert your name.
Okay.
And that goes with what else I wanted to say, which is just take it one step at a time. Take it one step at a time. Invest in yourself. You need to invest in finding out what makes you tick. You need to invest in finding out what works for you, what you like and what you don't like, um, and as much as possible um, not try to um, become somebody else, or somebody that
Yeah.
you're not proud of. It is very, very good to have role models and to have mentors, but you need to figure out what works for you. And it's going to be it is going to be hard. You should know that from the get-go. You're not going to have everything figured out, and that's okay. That's okay. A lot of us are wearing masks at work.
Yeah.
Don't be intimidated by that. A lot of us don't have it figured out. A lot of us are a complete mess. So don't be intimidated by that. It's frustrating, but yeah, take it one day at a time, one
One day at
step
a
at a
time.
time,
Yeah.
and do what's right for you.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much. It's been It's been an amazing, I think we've spoken for more than an hour now.
Oh gosh.
I didn't even know.
I mean, time flies.
Time flies when you're having fun. Eh?
It really does. It's definitely, thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for having me. Thank you for making me feel, at ease. Like seriously, I just literally felt like I was just having a chat with a friend.
That's actually the idea, try to hear from amazing people in a comfortable environment. And the idea would be for me to meet them at their location. I mean, it's nice that I can still talk to people not only in Holland but also in different parts of the world. And lovely to talk with you. You've given so many insightful stories and life experiences that I'm sure I have learned from. And I'm sure the people listening have also learned from. So thank you so much. God bless you. I appreciate it. And if people at home or listening have questions, they can send them in and I will definitely send them to you. And I'm sure you would reply.
Yes, it might take me a couple of months, but we'll get there.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, but thank you again. Any last words?
Dinner time.
Yeah,
I'm having Thai.
Yeah. You're having what?
I'm gonna have Thai.
Thai food.
Yeah, Thai food. I was craving some Thai. I'm probably gonna have some massaman curry.
I don't know what that is. No.
You should go look it up. It's delicious.
I will check it out.
Coconut mixed with peanuts. Yeah, it's very nice.
Nice. Oops. Well, the screen just said it's time to go.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
And thanks for being here. And bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you for listening. If you would like to send a message or view more content, check our description box below for all our socials and websites. Till we meet again. Bye.